The second day at NetEvent's 2018 Global Press and Analyst Summit began with a keynote presentation from Tom Burns of Dell EMC talking about digital transformation.
Listen, today I have a little area called digital transformation that I'm going to talk to you about in our position in Dell Technologies, but also I think something that will resonate with all of you. Over the course of the next few minutes, we're going to talk about a study that we undertook called Realizing 2030. We're going to talk about embracing what does this digital transformation mean, and also really how the digital transformation is impacting particular areas. We'll give a couple of examples, and we'll close with a customer example, which is always quite fun to see. But before I get started, I'd like to ask maybe the audience a couple of questions.
He asked how many people use 2 or more smart devices, like PCs, tablets, smartphones, on a daily basis.
Yeah, about 100% of you. That's not surprising when you hear that actually last year the number of smart devices surpassed the worldwide human population of 7.2 billion and growing. I must say myself, I carry an average of 4. I don't know if that's smart or just plain stupidity, and I'm going to have to figure out how to reduce that, but it is pretty spectacular. Now, the next question, maybe I'll ask someone to raise their hand, and I might ask them a question. Anyone in here own a Tesla?
One person in the audience admitted to owning a Tesla, and Tom Burns quizzed him about the car's connected functions.
It's no doubt that the number of devices, including in our cars, is exploding. In fact, by the year 2020, some estimates say there'll be over 30 billion connected devices, and when I mean this, it's not just smartphones and tablets and PCs, it's also sensors, gateways, CPE products, other types of devices. And the expectation out to 2025 is actually in excess of 75 billion connected devices.
He outlined how all these devices will be collecting data that will be mined and used in radical new ways.
There is no doubt that this digital transformation is changing and impacting the way that we live every minute, every hour, every day, every week. And we believe so much in this in Dell Technologies that we undertook a study called Realizing 2030. And in this particular study, we used a firm called Vanson Bourne, a research firm that actually asked about 4,000 companies globally, small, medium, and large, in 16 different countries, what did they believe the potential implications of a digital transformation or the changes in technology meant to them. The first finding is about 45% believe there's a possibility that their business will become obsolete. Wow. Almost half of the companies surveyed thought that they would be out of business in the next 3 to 5 years. How many people believe this? Well, let's think of the impact of Netflix on video. And does anyone remember, what was it called? Gee, I can't even remember it. Blockbuster Video. Gone. 48% do not know what the industry is going to look like in 3 years. Think of the auto transportation that we just talked about. Think about Ford introducing the Model T, the F-150, and now thinking about driving a car, having a car that drives by itself. Healthcare industry continuing to transform, electronic medical records, remote healthcare, things that are happening very rapidly. And 52% have experienced significant disruption in their industries over the last 3 years. Again, think of the Blockbuster and Netflix impact. It's kind of interesting to see Amazon that overtook bookstores and took away that brick and mortar, but what's happening now? They're actually opening bookstores again. What's some other things that we found in this survey? Well, one is that the disruption is inevitable. It's happening very, very quickly. The second thing is emerging technologies is continuing to evolve. Things are evolving very, very quickly, and they're going to continue to be disrupted at even a faster pace. This is giving the rise also of what we call ultimate human machine learning. I'd like to spend a minute on what we mean by that. If we think of a large musical conductor, you can understand that every single one of those musicians probably memorized the notes of that particular music, but are they looking at the notes? No, they're looking at the conductor. Why? Because it's not about understanding, it's not about the note themselves, but how the note is struck. This is what we mean by machine human learning. And 2030 technology will be ingrained in everything we do. As I stated before, the way we work, the way we live, every minute, every hour, every day. We talked already about artificial intelligence and machine learning, all the connections, all of the data. Robotics. Think about the old factories versus the new factories. The robotics and how they improve quality, they improve processing, they increase time, they increase productivity. Virtual reality and augmented reality. This is one that's still a little bit beyond me. Until recently, I heard about a little project called BraveMind that's being done by USC Institute of Creative Technology, which is actually using virtual reality to help soldiers that are returning from Afghanistan and Iraq with post-traumatic stress syndrome. Please look it up, BraveMind at USC. They're using virtual reality to help our soldiers. It's pretty cool. Cloud, this is obvious. We in Dell Technologies don't believe cloud is a place. We believe it's a practice or a process and how you run your infrastructure and your applications. It's inevitable. We think it's going to be a hybrid. It's not all going to be public, but obviously that continues to have a tremendous impact. We talked a little bit about IoT, the Internet of Things. I was recently in a discussion with Microsoft about the Azure Stack, and they actually said that 15% of their current Azure Stack sales relate to the connection of the Internet of Things, and they used the New York Police Department as an example. The New York Police Department is now giving their policemen the video cameras that's on their chest so that they can watch particular traffic stops, activities, and so forth. So the question is do you embrace this change or do you fight it? And we believe that if companies embrace this change, they can actually see tremendous differentiation, competitive advantage. In fact, in a study by Accenture, 60% of the global manufacturing will see artificial intelligence enter into their environment over the next several years, which will increase productivity by 15%. Tremendous opportunity to embrace the change, to embrace the digital transformation. Well, in Dell Technologies, we believe that there are 4 pillars to this transformation. The first is obviously recognizing that this digital transformation is occurring. What is the impact to our services? What is the impact to our applications? Do we need to move our traditional applications to cloud-ready and cloud-native applications? The second is around the IT transformation. What do we mean by the IT transformation? I'll give a very specific example in a moment, but in essence, what is the infrastructure that we're running these applications on? Obviously, there's the workforce transformation. We just talked about all of you having, at a minimum, 2 devices. Jeff Clark, my boss, who runs all of business operations and product operations within Dell EMC today, often says there's no longer an office to the traditional employee. The employee wants to be connected all the time on the device that he or she wants. And then obviously that enters into the security transformation. With more devices, with more sensors, with more connectivity at the edge, with the remote workers, because data is no longer protected inside of the 4 walls. And that's not how you want to operate. You want data in the hands of those people that can make decisions, as I said, on the fly for the right decision and allow that machine learning to take place. Maybe to dig a little bit deeper, let's look at the data center before and what we think it is in the future. First and foremost, the data center needs to be completely software-defined everything. Think of it as a platform rather than a set of boxes. Companies need to move away from saying, I have a server team, I have a storage team, I have a networking team. They need to go to a DevOps and player environment. The second thing is the data center is no longer that big building that sits in your corporate headquarters. The data center is moving to the edge, and in fact, it's no longer the data center, it's the center of data. Do you want data going all the way back to the main office, or do you want the capability to understand that data locally on that particular bridge point to make the decisions, to make the corrective actions so that you bring that efficiency back up right away? We believe that the data center isn't just about the cloud. Yes, a lot of it will be run over the cloud, but we've seen tremendous growth in convergence, hyperconvergence, modular data centers to adopt to this change of how the data center is going to evolve. Maybe quickly looking at a little bit about what we think is happening in the networking, and I'm very proud of what we've done at Dell EMC. First of all, around disaggregation. Proprietary protocols, proprietary hardware isn't going to allow companies the agility, the flexibility, and the capability that they need in order to operate and take advantage of this digital transformation. Disaggregation is for sure. Every RFP that we receive today from service providers and telcos mandate disaggregation. We were the first to do it in the industry 4 years ago, and it's quite interesting to see Cisco, Juniper, and Arista all in the last year announcing disaggregation. The second thing is the disaggregation of the protocols and the network operating software itself. Why is it that you have 1,100 protocols that you pay for in your data center when on average you use somewhere between 10 and 15 of those protocols? Disaggregate the stack. The last is the drive of open source. And again, our contributions to the Open Compute Project, our contributions to the Linux Foundation around the OPX and the capability to allow companies to build their own open source network operating software, giving them more flexibility and capability than ever before. And lastly, it's not dominated by anyone, because in fact, there are many players that are going after this new space that don't have that traditional proprietary space to protect those large gross margins. Very transformative time in the networking industry.
To bring digital transformation right down to earth, Tom Burns showed a brief video of a totally enclosed multi-story warehouse in New Jersey. It uses IoT and automation to produce healthy, tasty vegetables using 95% less water and 0 pesticides, all at 390% greater productivity than a conventional market garden.
It's about how we feed the world over the next several years. Embrace the technology and the digital transformation, or as approximately 50% of the company say, go obsolete. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.